Welcome to episode 91 of Star Bearers. I'm Chris D.T. Gordon. Thanks so much for being here with me. And I do apologize if my voice gives out. It is the end of December as we're recording this, and it's the last day of the final full week of the school year, of the calendar year for school. I've been talking a lot. So I do apologize. I might have to resort to sign cards. Hopefully it doesn't get to that. But because the podcast people will be totally left out. So I'll do my best to keep my voice. But I want to thank Nate and Britta Barron for their skills on the post-production side. If you want their help on your project, please reach out to them at Nate Barron. Well, we're going to get right into it just so I can preserve my vocal cords. My new friend, Bettina Carey, is here with me. Bettina, how are you today?
I'm doing great, and it's so great to connect and to hear you call me friend. You know, we only recently met this year, and there was like an instant connection. And so I can't wait to, complete your interview and have you on my show too.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, we did connect in the most unusual way in a midnight motivation speak-a-thon with our friend C.L. King. We were given 15 minutes each to share our stories. And I don't know about you, Bettina, but I really like that challenge because I'm used to using PowerPoint and having more time. But the challenge of editing my presentation and going just by my voice alone really invigorated me. How did you feel about it?
I agree. C.L. King is the man. His Impacting Lives 24/7 program, it always motivates me to be introduced by him, to hear his motivational, inspirational messaging. And it just takes us all up to a whole new level, right? So when it's like running in the Olympics, if there's going to be a silver, there's going to be a bronze. You might as well go with the leader who's going to be a gold.
Yeah.
Because maybe someday I'll have the gold too.
Yeah, he definitely does bring you to another level. And so I do appreciate what he brings to the table and for us to be with him and help us in our journey. So speaking of our journeys, you and I are both on our own journeys individually, but we are both empowered by struggle and actually some loss. But those empowering moments took very different forms for the both of us. Do you mind sharing where your empowerment came from?
Yes, my road to empowerment started out as a victim, right? So I was a high school student, and I fell in love with a boy who became my abuser. And I went ahead and married him, like that's what good Catholic girls do when they find themselves pregnant. And very few months into the pregnancy, around 34 weeks, he caused the death of my newborn. And I stayed a year and, continued to get the beatings. And that was the beginning of hopefully, a brighter future for myself. I finally found the courage one day to leave with just the clothes on my back, returning home a few days later to get a few more items. And, I left the life that I knew. And that's when my journey to empowerment actually began. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. I was still in that victim mentality. I was still a victim, to be sure. It would take many years thereafter. And as I paved my road to empowering myself, I was attracting a lot of women friends to the circle. And so I eventually became a leader of a group that is known as the Women in Small Biz community. And then that evolved into now the We Empower You community. So it's both men and women that we are providing support to at this point. And even folks, of course, who don't identify either male or female.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the efforts you've taken to form that community. Quick question, when you started gaining that following of people, this was before the internet really became such a large part of our lives, correct? This is before social media, before Facebook or Instagram, right?
Yeah, it's definitely before Facebook, Instagram, and the like. There was email. And so that was one thing that we could communicate through email. And that was, very good to have. But a lot of it was still putting things in the mail, meeting people for coffee, lunch, dinner, and doing what I didn't know at the time was called networking, right? So I just found myself gathering with people. I actually, in the Seattle area, there's a restaurant there called Duke's Chowder House. And so I just told my cronies that were in the healthcare field, I said, let's just meet at Duke's on Green Lake. And we picked a date, which was the first Monday of every month. And we started out, and it was just about 5 or 6 of us at the beginning. And then over time, we were in the hundreds. And at some point, we topped, in the like 1,000. But at the end of the day, there wasn't a lot of structure to what I was doing. And although there were chambers at the time, and there was Rotary at the time, and many other organizations, I was not that tuned into that. I was a nurse, for gosh sake. So the only thing I knew was, I had something in common with these professionals was I was running a business. And one thing led to another, and they kept following me wherever I go. So I now have built a structure, an infrastructure for them to commune. And it feels really good to be able to leave a legacy behind at this point.
So if someone were to be in a similar position where they had developed a following like yours, what would be a key step to take? One or two key steps for someone to take to establish a more organized foundation, or foundation for your efforts?
Yes, I think getting really clear about the mission, the vision, and the movement that you're actually running. If you have a following already, the more clear that you are. And one of the things I've been discovering just even this last year at the ripe young age of 63 is that speaking from the mountaintop is a better avenue for serving the community, for example. So instead of explaining and exploring with folks where I'm going to, although I am going to someplace, versus actually speaking as if I'm on the mountaintop already. So that's one thing I would say is just the leader has to hold the higher vision and be able to create the movement of forward movement so that others will follow. And secondarily to that, gaining a better understanding of what each of the infrastructure that's needed, each of the different, each membership needs different structure. Our structure is based in a model of membership and affiliation and lead generation. And so that gives us many multiple streams of income at this point for not only ourselves as the founders, but also for the members. And so I would say those, you asked for one, but I'd say they're kind of related. The vision, mission, and purpose, and then the infrastructure are very, very key to operate with. The business model has to be clear because if it's not, you'll have the years that I had earlier, which is you're trying to do something, you're going to do something, and then the infrastructure wasn't there for me, so I couldn't make it financially. I had to give it up at some point, and then return back to it all organized with a business model that actually was efficient and works quite nicely.
That's thank you very much for first of all for sharing that. So have a clear vision and have a clear infrastructure. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. And so I see behind you have We Empowered You. How did you get from where you were meeting at Duke's and your 1,000 member community to becoming We Empowered You?
Well, there's that little tap that you get on the shoulder or the lightning bolt that strikes you and it says, you will be this, you will do this. That voice speaking in your head, that little bird whispering in your ear, it all starts there, and I got the calling. I can only speak to it from a place of an avocation as well as a vocation, because I am doing it as a living at this point, and it's a passion. But it definitely was like getting struck by lightning with this message that was very, very clear: to go from victim to be an empowerer on the planet, to help others in this manner, was definitely not something I would have signed up to on my own. It was just sort of like I kept getting this calling. And even when I have attempted to put it down, it comes back again and again and again. So there's no denying that this is my purpose in life.
So what form did those strikes of lightning come about? Because, you know, it's like the story of, I think of the story of the man who's in the flood, and he keeps praying to God, and someone always stopped by, and he said, no, wait for God, wait for God. Eventually the guy dies, goes up to heaven, and says, God, why didn't you save me? Well, I sent all these things to you, you didn't use them. And, you know, and so what was it that really, what was those lightning strikes like?
Yeah, I love that story that you describe. And of course, I'm the opposite story, because I actually heard the call and I've risen up. Even when I've been knocked down to the ground 1,000 times around this calling, I still get up and I see the rope, and I'm grabbing on the rope, and I see the boat, and even if I try to ignore it, it just keeps coming up. So, I would describe it as like an epiphany, right? You wake up one morning and there's this aha singing out that says the message, and where is that message coming from? I have no idea. There's some potentials for where that idea came from, but at the end of the day, it felt very much like getting that tap on the shoulder, or the knock, the lightning bolt. There's so many different ways to describe it, but I felt it. I also felt it. And it comes from, I believe, a natural gift and aptitude that I have in connecting others. So my helpful being is connecting others with the resources that they need, whether that be financial or physical world, or just support, the cheerleading that they need, the mentorship. All of that is all just connection. We find that connection in community. We find that connection in networking. We find that community in churches. We find that, that lots of people are searching for what I actually have, right? At the end of the day, I was gifted as a connector. And then I woke up to this gift in my late 30s. And I've been living into this gift ever since.
I appreciate that you have answered the call, because I know you have helped so many. And it takes a lot of bravery to do that. Because it's you're going into the unknown. A lot of times you're trying something you've never done before, and it takes a bit of courage to do that. So
yes, and then you can transform lives. When I had been doing this from the late 90s through about 2011, I had transformed about 5,000 lives by that point. And then I put this all down for a number of years, and then I restarted in 2019 to be back involved in this mission, vision, and purpose. And now, just since COVID, we've already been helping 1,000 lives plus. So that's how fast it grows up again. So even when I put it down, it mushrooms up again.
So it's like that bad penny, it always shows up, right?
Yeah.
So why did you put it down, as you said?
Well, initially, because I didn't have the infrastructure. Each of the attempts that I had towards having a paying membership, having folks who would pay for attendance at various conference programs and summits and expos that I were doing, it was, I would write a $20,000 check to the hotel, and I might keep 3 after working 8 to 12 to 6, weeks in putting something together. And so there just wasn't a viable way to generate the income to support all of the good work that I was doing. Because I was not a 501c3, I also was not a foundation. I wasn't generating any other grant funding or anything like that. Nothing through donations. Everything had to be done through me. At some point, I did bump into the sponsorship model, which is what saved me for a number of years because I got some really good backing that way. And at the end of the day, now I've had the gift of knowledge and wisdom on how to generate 6 figures in 6 months, and I can teach others how to do this. So that is, if I had had what I know now in 2011, I would never have put it down. But I didn't. I didn't know that it was possible to do that, and so that's why I had to put it down. And it's kind of like there comes a time when you realize that you have to put your own oxygen mask on first before you help others. And so what I was doing from the 90s through about 2011 was I was putting on the oxygen sometimes on myself, but often on other people. And so as I helped other people with their oxygen, then my oxygen was depleted. And so I kept finding these gaps and troughs in my finances. And it was very, very debilitating because there was so much that I could do. And like my power was great, but my income wasn't. And so I went off from 2011 until about 2013, 14. I started to get that, inkling again. And I just stabilized. I got a regular recurring income. I managed to start and run this marketing agency that I run now, as well as the We Empower You community. And that gave me the stability that I needed. So when I came back, I was already, stable, and I didn't need anybody else's oxygen. I didn't need oxygen, period. So now I can help others without worrying about myself.
Now, you said that you have the We Empower You. And you mentioned that you also have ad agency. That's not the We Empower You, is it? Or is it another?
No, the agency is under my name, Bettina Carey Productions. And for the agency work, I have clients that I do everything and anything marketing. I've published books. I scaled a book to 384 pages, full color, hardbound, coffee table size. Another smaller 90-page restaurant hired me to do another book for them, full color again. We've done big signage on trucks and major malls and everything in between, social media, commercial advertising, so digital advertising, you name it. So now what I'm doing is I'm blending the two. I'm taking my ad agency and looping it into the We Empower You community so that the members can get the benefit of what I do for advertising.
That's brilliant, because not only does it bring more customers in, clients in, but it also probably helps you gain greater focus because you're not so your energies aren't divided.
Right. Yeah, it was in the beginning, I kept them separate, like church and state. I kept them separate. But it hit me in September when I was doing my summit that I should blend the two together as an upgrade to the membership. And we have a flat fee membership, but now folks can actually upgrade and start to take on some of the services that we have on the ad agency side, and including PR services and copy editing and writing and book publishing and commercials and digital advertising. So it's just, it's like, oh, great. And so now I'm living, into my passion. And at the same time, I'm growing a community, which, by the way, our community's gone global, and it went global right away. So we were steeped in folks from Africa in particular on the global side, but we have, clients in the Brussels, in Canada, and other parts of the world, France or whatever. But at the end of the day, that was a surprise to me. I thought it would take me years to go global.
That's the beauty, again, and which is here to say about the pandemic is that we have found ways to reach others on a global scale, as you said. Earlier this year, I presented my message to a number of high school students in Nepal, which was amazing. And I would have never thought I'd have that chance. But it's wonderful that you've been able to find that global success by merging those two entities.
Yes.
And so, say if I were interested in joining your organization, how would I, if I wanted to, I guess let me ask, what is a common goal that a lot of your new members want to reach?
Well, it starts with defining the audience that we serve, which are coaches, authors, speakers, advisors, consultants, mentors, cheerleaders. And so if that's the business you're in, then you're a fit for us. We do this by invitation. So we invite folks to come to our Wednesday meetings. We do them year round. And then 4 times a year, every seasonal change, we also do a summit on that Wednesday. So folks can actually come to know us, like us, and trust us, because at the end of the day, that's really the fabric that we're built on, is trust. And so if we fit you and you fit us, then we can invite a conversation around membership. It's easy to be a part of our community because we don't charge anything for our Wednesday meetings, and we don't charge anything for our summits, with the exception that if you're over 500 people, then we have to start charging at that point. So far, we haven't capped out there. And at the end of the day, we provide a speaking platform for speakers. We have an angel sponsor package, a radio package, to call on radio station producers, and many, many, many other benefits in our bailiwick. So, but the first step is really just to come to a Wednesday meeting. They start at 3 p.m. Folks can go to weempoweryourlife.com and click on the calendar tab where we keep our Zoom links for our meetings. And that way, if we need to change them for any reason, we have them right there. And it's just exciting to be welcoming folks from all over the world that show up for meetings. And then they decide, is this clan, this tribe, this group of, men and women for me? And if they believe that it is, they join. In fact, Tequila Kosar, who was actually in that group of speakers for CL's program, ended up joining just about a month ago. Excellent. And I'm excited to be welcoming her to the stage. She, as a result of her membership, she did in fact speak at the summit this last December the 8th. And that was really great to have her on the stage. And then she'll continue to speak every quarter thereafter. We also provide a 5-minute spotlight on the Worldwide TV network as part of our membership package. And so she'll get that opportunity to develop her 5-minute profile video and then get that on the WWTVN. So it's really just an easy path. We don't make things complicated. It's not about the money, it's about the fit, right? So if we fit you, you fit us, then we can help you to succeed. And right now in 2022, I'm actually launching the version 2.0 of We Empower You, because we're a tech company. And so as all tech companies, when you launch a product like the iPhone, first iPhone is now we're on 13, right? So you keep upgrading. We've upgraded the membership package. It's now worth $30,000. It started out being worth about $1,500. We've continued to keep the rate the same. However, it's $1,599. So even with that higher value, we keep it affordable. But what makes us really unique is that when someone gets referred to us, we actually pay the person who referred us $800, which is about half of the actual money coming in. So CL King was the recipient of $800, and I let him know, via messenger that, he needed to just provide me his 1099 and I would send him money. And he's like, I don't know what I did for this, but I'll get that form right back to you. And within, a few days, he had money in his bank account that came from his referral of tequila. And it's just so fun to be able to give that generously into the community. And I know that CL is going to take that $800 and do some really great things with his family or his helpful nature. He's going to help others in his community. And then, operationally, we only retain a quarter of the money that comes in this way. And then we pay for the services on the tech side with the other quarter. So it's a very unique approach. So we've removed all the barriers, so you don't even have to have money. You don't even have to join the membership to make money. That $800 we pay, for example, CL King is not a member of the We Empower You community, but he is affiliated with us. And so he got the $800. So anybody it doesn't matter if they are operationally working and successful already, or if they've been fired, furloughed, laid off, and they're just looking for a side hustle, or if they happen to have a opportunity for building a coaching practice or want to write a book, or they have interest in having their own podcast. We really have all the knowledge built in with our members, as well as some of the folks that I outsource to help them build their business so that they are successful.
Well, that sounds like as you said, unique, but it also sounds like it's working.
Yes.
It's striking a chord with people who want to have that outreach and have those resources.
Yes, and my goal for the early part of 2022 is to line up a number of folks who come in through the membership and are interested in generating 6 figures in 6 months, because I was able to do that with this We Empower You community, and I can replicate that in anybody else's business as long as they follow the path that I've created. So, that's where we really fit with folks, is if they've tried and failed every other revenue model, if they've, they're brand spanking new, they have no idea what I'm talking about when I say revenue model, they will benefit from what we have going on.
So if I were to say, as a speaker, I wanted to take part of this, the 6 month journey, would you be willing right now to give maybe like a first step? What would be the first step to, as like a taste to get into this 6 month journey?
Yes. Well, the first step, and this is with or without me and without the membership, a very big first step for people to understand is that wealth can be created through multiple streams of income. Without multiple streams of income, you're dependent on you, yourself, and you to generate an hourly rate, a weekly rate, a package rate, or some kind of rate. And it's dependent that you do the work, effort, right? So one of the habits that we are breaking in people's culture is that they make more money by promoting others, not the other way around. You're going to cap out. There's going to be a glass ceiling. Eventually, you're going to hit it. If you calculate, say, for example, 2,080 hours is the average work week, 40 hours a week, 365 days out of the year. So that's a cap right there, because most of us have grown up with this idea that we have our weekends off, or we have some time after work. We only work 40 hours a week, or that's our modus of operandi. So if you charged $100 an hour times 2,080 hours, that's a cap. Then you're capped off there. If you charge 1,000, you're capped off there. Whereas when you're promoting others, there is no cap and you don't have to do the work. So when folks send us the membership, for example, CL introduced us to tequila. CL just had to, his work effort was cashing moving the money electronically from his Venmo account into his bank account. That was his effort, right? So this idea that you promote others, they pay you for promoting them, that is really the secret sauce in the success, is you embracing multiple streams of income. So what do I mean by that? So we have a storefront. Every owner that signs up with us, they get a storefront. They can sell their own products and services. or they can sell other member services and products. They can serve, promote anything, pretty much anything that they have interest in. Income Activator's president, who's our technology company, her name is Lee Romanoff. She actually sold a glass bottom boat, even though her business is in tech, she wanted to sell this glass bottom boat. And so she created a website to sell glass bottom boats. And she has a dog, and she wanted to see what she could do to generate income for someone who wasn't a human. And so she created a referral service for veterinarians, so that veterinarians would pay her to send them business. And lo and behold, she's generating income for a pet, So this journey into membership as a revenue stream, affiliate income as a revenue stream, a storefront as a revenue stream, creates multiple streams of income that isn't dependent on me working for a living. So I have a whole income stream that comes in from all of these different avenues now that is not dependent on my ad agency, which is effort driven. So that's the biggest thing, is breaking the habit and leaning in, whether you work with me or not, whether you're a member or not. The message is very, very clear. Affiliate with other people, promote the heck out of them, and you will become wealthy in the meantime. Oh, you're muted.
Here, I was so enthralled with what you're sharing about our first step. I forgot to unmute myself. So thanks for telling me.
No worries.
So that's a wonderful first step, and I really hope that a lot of people take advantage of that. I know we don't have too much time, but I also want to talk about that you had that struggle as a young adult with that abusive relationship. We also had a physical struggle. You wouldn't mind sharing that as well?
Sure. So after I left that relationship, I found my way to the career path in nursing, and I got my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing at the University of Washington. Along the way, I was working for a home care company, and I was attending a meeting in a restaurant, and I slipped and I fell. And thankfully, I'm not that tall. I'm only 4'9.5", but I fell directly on my hip area, straight from the ground. So my feet just went flying up in the air, and I fell, hip height all the way down on the floor. And what it caused was a soft tissue injury. I didn't break any bones or anything, but I had a prior neck situation that was tweaked by this injury. And I had intractable pain in my neck and in my behind. And it went on for 6.5 years. And so I decided very early on, when this was going on, that I'm not the kind of person to be sitting around in a bed, even though literally to walk across the room would bring me to tears. So I decided that I would take this opportunity from the slip and fall and start and found a business. So I founded a healthcare marketing company, and it gave me something to put my mind to, because I was a nurse. I knew that the way the mind works around pain is that you can trick it to some degree if you preoccupy it with something else. And so I would get on phone calls, and I'd be talking to medical directors all across the country. I would be creating advertisements for my business. I was a board member on a small medical organization that I grew to very large. So it really, really motivated me. But the pain was so, so severe. And I'm not a person that takes medication, so I wasn't taking any medication. I tried a few things in the very beginning, but I would have tried voodoo at that time if it had worked. I'm telling you, it was so painful. And I did Reiki, I did physical therapy, I saw, OD doctors, I saw regular doctors, I saw surgeons. I mean, just trying to sort through this thing. And interestingly enough, when I sold my car, which was a stick shift, within days, the pain just vanished. So the use of that clutch was aggravating the pain And 6 years in, when I sold the car, is when it all started to go away. Now, it took a little bit longer, for dancing and skiing and some of these other things that still kind of would have aggravated if I did them now. But it definitely was like, oh, thank God. Oh my gosh. It was like my mind could be free to think without that intractable pain. So for those of you who are watching and who are experiencing intractable pain, you probably can understand what I'm talking about.
Get rid of your manual transmission vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. To think it was something as simple as that would change the course of the pain. It makes total sense. What had happened was when I was in high school, I was doing a penny dismount off of a uneven parallel bars, and I fell right onto my neck.
Oh.
And so I already had a neck injury. Thankfully, I only had temporary paralysis, and I was able to get out of a hospital within about 24 hours and no damage as such. But when that happened on the hip side, the left side, I also had a leg length difference. And so that and the constant use of the clutch is what was getting me into trouble.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you never know. Like, I saw tens of thousands of dollars worth of doctor visits, and all it took was actually buying a new car. It was like, oh no.
So, all right. So as we look forward into 2022, you said that you have those visions for, and we empower you. Are there any other goals, maybe personal goals, that you're reaching out for that you really want to make some progress on?
The biggest progress that I'm working on right now is to scale the company of We Empower You, along with the Bettina Carey Productions company, and scale it so that it reaches the masses, right? I'm living my legacy right now, right? So when COVID reared its ugly head in 2020, I was just about to start coasting and going into this thing called retirement, right? I was going to have a 1 year, an annual summit every year, just as my give back to the community. I was going to fund it myself, and it wasn't going to be a business. It was just going to be something fun to do. And, we all got that near death sentence with COVID, because we could go out and just take the garbage out or receive a package and maybe die a few days later. I thought, heck no. That is not going to be my reality. I'm going to live my inspirement years, and I'm going to live my legacy now, because if I have 3 or 4 to 5 days to live, at some time in the future related to COVID, I want to have left a meaningful impact. So it totally accelerated my interest in living my legacy now. So the way I'm building this business, different than any other business I've run, is I'm scaling it so that other people can carry on without me. And I can go on to the figurative Tahiti, euphemism for passing, or the real Tahiti, and it's not dependent on me.
Okay, Tahiti. Did you take that from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Huh?
Did you take that from the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Tahiti?
I hadn't gotten it from anybody. I just started. I didn't want to put any words into the universe about passing away.
Okay.
So in order to do that, I created a euphemism called Tahiti.
Okay.
It's kind of like,
there's a character on the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is like somewhat connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Avengers, and the character, a character died and then was brought back, and there was a trigger word, Tahiti, that was used as a way to sedate him while he was going through all those life resurrection surgeries and process. So he said Tahiti, like, please.
I'm gonna have to watch this now for sure.
Yeah, it's okay, it's over now, but that just struck me as funny that you had said that. But no, the pandemic has really reframed how we live our lives and the purposes in which we live our lives.
Yes, absolutely. And I was the one woman show in the past, and I actually branded myself like a one woman show. I could do everything. I could do this, watch me do this and this and this and this. And then that's not a legacy. I can't leave any of that behind, because once I'm gone, then it creates just a vacuum. Like, oh, shoot, she's gone. How do we do this? She knows everything. It's all in her hot little head. And I thought, what a travesty if I have everything in my hot little head and nothing gets left behind. So now I've produced over 200 videos. I've produced 7 summits, all of which are recorded. They're 12-hour days. I have connected with 1,000 people in a year and a half, and I have just started. So just think a year from now, what 2022 can be. It could be 10,000 people, because 1,000 people can turn into 10,000 people overnight, right? That's how technology works right now. And I'm a technology company, so it's really interesting, just leaning into legacy work and not so much the efforting work that I grew up with. You know, as a Spanish woman, a Puerto Rican in my household, everything is all about work, you know, work harder and not smarter and just work, you know, to the bone. And now I'm on that complete opposite end of that spectrum going, nope, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to promote other people. I'm going to make my living by talking about you and talking about CL and talking about tequila. And then I don't have to do any of the work. Yeah, you guys have to.
There we go. There we go. And so on this, you know, you've heard me talk, Bettina, about the attitude of gratitude. And so I always like to ask my guests, what is something that may be a bit obscure, but they have an immense amount of gratitude?
Are you asking for myself or for what the audience?
I'm asking you.
Yes.
What is something that it might be obscure, but you know, something that you are immensely grateful for?
No, it definitely is obscure. I am grateful for COVID. I am grateful for COVID because it stopped our planet in motion on so many levels. And what I've observed in myself and in others is that it gave us a time to pause, to go within, to be present, to embrace these technologies, which are not consuming a lot of energy, and the connections that are made possible. I thank my lucky stars on so many levels that COVID has not taken my life. That said, it has taken some of my family members' lives and several friends. So I'm up to over a dozen people. But so my gratitude is with respect to those that have passed, those that will pass, and those that are sick today. So, you know, I'm not discounting that COVID kills, it does kill. But for me, I'm grateful for the positive effect that a pause around the world has done for our climate, for our connections, and for changing a course that was a deadly course nonetheless, the way that our environment was, the way that the trajectory of where we were living as humans in that pace, the frenetic pace that we were living in, that I was living in, I should say, this is me talking, for that, I would be grateful for that. Not for any of the death and destruction, but the good side of what has come about.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Bettina. Where can people reach out to you if they want to connect with you personally, or if they want to find more about Re-Empower You?
Yes, I love personal connections. I'll say that first. And the best way to find me is to go to weempoweryourlife.com. My name, rank, and serial number are right there on the site. You can reach me there. Our calendar of events, you just click on the calendar tab. Again, weempoweryourlife.com. We'd love to have you join us at one of our meetings.
Excellent. And my final question, Bettina, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Stegosaurus.
And why Stegosaurus?
Because I actually can remember the name of it without having to look it up in the encyclopedia.
It is a quite what is a unique build, the scales and the tail, the spikes at the bottom, and so very good, very good. I just love that question. I love asking people that question.
Yeah, I wondered where that question came from. I was like, I answered it, but I was like, I wonder where this question came from.
Well, I'll tell you that before I started the podcast, I had seen a Facebook meme one time where someone was lamenting that no one ever asked them what their favorite dinosaur was. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to be that guy.
I'm going to be the guy.
In fact, I can find here, have a "What is your favorite dinosaur" T-shirt.
Oh, right. There you go.
That I have made, and it's in my merch store on my website. And so I thought, it would be fun for people to wear as a conversation starter or just like an inside joke. So,
well, now I'm so noted.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a triceratops, but maybe
Thank you so much.
Second edition gets Stegosaurus. So, Bettina, it's been a blessing to have you on here and to get to know you some more. And I look forward to presenting my story on your podcast as well.
Absolutely. We'll talk here just after this weekend's, and be great to have you on the show ASAP.
Sounds great. Well, folks, please reach out to Bettina if you want to connect with her and you want to empower your own life. And as I mentioned before, if you want to reach out to me, please check me out at chrisdtgordon.com. If my message of the attitude, gratitude, or tag can help you or others increase their gratitude, positivity, and resilience. Also, download a free tag one sheet so you can print that out, put it up in your home or your office or school, just to help others and yourself keep up that daily dose of gratitude. Please like, subscribe, share this podcast with anyone who you feel would benefit from these inspirational stories, as these incredible people tell their tales of trial and triumph. And just let me know if there's someone that you know would be a good fit to share their story on my podcast as well. Well, folks, as always, thank you so much for joining me. Please have a wonderful day. And remember to pass on perfection and go for greatness.